Good morning, welcome to Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. My name is Merciful Ajinomo, and this morning we have Adebayo Fajimi analyzing some stories in the newspapers. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Of course, the big story today is the issue, the accident, and now, of course, the killings in Plateau State. The big story there is survivors recount day of terror in Plateau villages on Daily Trust newspaper. And that story is on page 4 of the newspaper. 4 writers: the first, Muslims, Christians among victims, and the second, assailant said they were after men, says a woman. My father was killed because he could not run, and then invaders came from neighboring Taraba. That is talking about the Plateau attack. And just underneath the pictures of the day, we see killings. Northern elders ask Buhari to resign. It was yesterday we spoke about the numbers, the gruesome killings in Plateau State, and of course we discussed some issue happening in northeastern part of Nigeria. And now we're seeing northern elders asking President Muhammadu Buhari to resign. Don't you think it's too late to ask for this resignation, seeing that the election is around the corner?
It is not now that this call is being made. The call has been made repeatedly, and because why the call is because if you see what this government set out gave to Nigerians when they were coming to power, the basis of their manifesto is that they will end insecurity. In fact, they told us that President Muhammadu Buhari is a former general who has that military experience, and he has a capacity, so he know what it takes to bring an end to this aspect of insecurity. But unfortunately, you can see the rising level of this menace. So that tells you that what they painted for us, so it's not what we are seeing. So if you are incapacitated to solve people's problem in place of leadership, of course it is not too bad, or it's not even really bad at all if you resign and leave that place and give room for someone else to come in and solve the problem. In Sri Lanka recently, when this issue of what's it called, fuel scarcity came up and all of that, so some ministers resigned, left the cabinet to ensure that other people come in who have the ability to ensure that the problem comes to an end. So but it is quite unfortunate that in Nigeria we don't have that kind of ability, we don't have that kind of boldness to leave the stage and allow other people to come in. So if what they promise us is not manifesting, of course it's not bad. So if he leaves and someone else come in and solve the problem for us.
All right, of course that story is on the Daily Trust newspaper. From the very top, we see LG polls, APC sweeps Katsina, PDP clears Adamawa. That is on page 17. And then bad SIM cards won't be unblocked without NIN linkage, says federal government. Of course, this is following the call that SIM cards be unblocked following the recent blockage of SIM cards. And just underneath the pictures of the day there, we see 3 remanded for kidnapping 72-year-old woman from Lagos Mosque, and 25 killed in fresh Benue attacks. And then again, Senate passes Peace Corps bill. That is on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And on the Leadership newspaper, the big story is 2023 CSOs kick against consensus as mode of choosing candidate. That is on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. A couple of writers slam political parties for subverting popular will, say consensus violates aspirant right, will undermine 2023 elections, and then consensus won't give you presidency, Yakasai Sani tell Igbo. That is on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. Consensus as a mode of choosing candidate. We did see this play out when APC chose the national chairman, having other nominees and aspirants to step down for one person. And I remember we talking about the fact that it's not room for democracy. It doesn't state the will, the true intent of the people who are involved in that process. But 2023 general elections, of course, CSOs are saying, look, this cannot work when we choose candidates. Are you of the same opinion?
Yeah, of course, because if our care is not taken, this will completely damage our democracy, because democracy is a government of the people by and for the people. So it is not just a government of just a few people. And the good thing about democracy is that the likes of Article, if myself and Atiku is in the same political party, I should be able to enjoy the same privilege that Atiku enjoys. So if I am qualified to contest and he is qualified to contest, of course, we should be able to go to level playing field, and each person's test is for popularity. And I think that is what our political party should be doing. And if care is not taken, this will really damage our democracy, because if this trend should continue, before you know it, whoever a political party fighting in any electoral process is going to be the decision of just a few members of the party. And you can see what happened during the convention of the APC, despite the fact that President Buhari and some members of the party, the biggest in the party, say, okay, this is the candidate we are choosing. You can see those who cry. And even on the stage, you saw some people crying that, no, this is not our way, this is not what we wanted. How will you allow people to go through financial stress, to exert a lot of strength to ensure that, they mobilize people to ensure that they go to the field, and all of a sudden, you just tell them to, to step down? That is not democracy. And if this trend should continue, honestly, our democracy is going to be badly damaged.
This story is on the big story that is on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. And then besides that, we see APC National Chairman, Deputy vacate Senate seat. That is on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. From the very top, PMB asks National Assembly to raise fuel subsidy to 4 trillion naira for 2022. The writer says want oil benchmark at $73 per barrel. And that is on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. And of course, Easter celebration, federal government declares Friday, Monday, public holidays. That is on page 10. And then gunmen kill monarch, 23 farmers in Benue. That story is on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. I will quickly move over to this day. From the very top, LCCI predicts Nigeria's debt may hit 45 trillion naira in fourth quarter of 2022. The writer says this year budget now projected to have deficit of 7.35 trillion naira. 45 trillion naira it's a large amount of money. Adebayo, we know that we've spoken about the fact that Nigeria is on that constant practice, culture of borrowing, to fund projects and everything. And you have made mention of the fact that many times this project, they are not being fulfilled. That's why it's a call for concern from Nigerians. Now we are seeing 45 trillion naira fourth quarter of 2022. This is the year before election. A new government is coming in. How do you think this impacts the Nigerian economy?
That was a very bad projection if eventually it happens, because the federal government is striving to to borrow, to get another loan. And if that happens with our current situation, because see, budget deficit means what you are spending is far higher, greater
than what
you are earning. And you can see, there is, high level of insecurity. People cannot go to farm, and government is talking about diversification of economy. So if people cannot go to farm, they cannot do anything. How do we diversify? Okay, now recently we can see what national grid is has cost us, and obviously it has shown that the national grid cannot give us the nation's electricity demand. So how do people manufacture? So in manufacturing sector, how do people survive? You can project or suspect that there's going to be a nationwide retrench in most of the sectors, because when people cannot produce, people cannot, and of course some people will be have to go home. So how do you ensure that you how do I put it now? You manage this budget, you fund this budget, and you repay, even so to say. So that tells us that we are really in a bad situation. I think this should even be or should set a pace for our engagement on whoever is going to be our leader come 2023, rather than all these aspirations that we are casting on just personality. This should be a room for engagement on whoever is going to lead us come 2023. But if, as projected, this should happen, is a very bad, is going to really affect us, as a people.
I totally agree with you on that one. That story is on page 10 of this day newspaper. And the big story there's Buhari senators, others flay Plateau killings, say act heinous and unforgivable. And we see just the picture of the day there. Of course, traditional marriage between Osasu Igbinedion and Mr. Nathaniel Uguche. And of course, we see a picture there depicting what happened at the event yesterday. Besides that, it insists perpetrators must face wrath of law. That's rather underneath the big story there. The second insecurity, Nigeria on verge of collapse, Kuka warns. And 23 killed in fresh attacks on Benue communities. And then, of course, on the Punch newspaper, the big story is PDP consensus suffers setback. Zoning panel submit report. And then the last newspaper this morning is the Nigerian News Direct, talking about oil price, $100. Federal government raises 2022 fuel subsidy budget to 4 trillion naira. You can also stay updated on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. And our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is @TOSTV Network. Like, subscribe, and be a part of the community. Thank you so much, Adebayo, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And thank you, viewers. Don't forget, we're coming away again tomorrow. My name is Merciful Ajemo. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.